Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and thank you to everyone that's watched our previous videos yesterday. And if you haven't, please go and check them out after this video. I'll leave a link afterwards. This story, I think it's very important because it mainly highlights mental health issues, I think, and the struggles that people are going through during lockdown. On the 21st of January, police were called to Saxon Road in Southall. Thank you to UB1 and UB2 on Instagram for their coverage of this, and we also sent our reporter Dave Nathan down to the scene. This was a standoff, an armed siege with armed police and a man reportedly with a gun, and it continued throughout the whole night. Surrounding streets in the area were actually locked down due to the situation. Ealing Council tweeted the next day that the situation was still ongoing in the morning and the police cordon was still in place. Officers were called at 2:10 on the 21st when witnesses said they spotted armed officers coming along the Broadway. In the most recent statement on the 22nd of January, a spokesman for the police says they are continuing to deal with the ongoing incident in Saxon Road, Southall. Officers were called following concerns of the welfare of a man inside a property. A number of sources were sent to the area and are working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion. They had actually brought in negotiators, and at 11 o'clock the next day they actually took them out and the police went inside, and I believe it's a man and a woman inside the property. They said the armed police was a precautionary measure, and in the tweet from Ealing Council they said they were following the advice and cordoned off the areas. Police were using step ladders to look over fences, and it was a big story throughout the day. And like I said, I think it highlights the fact of what this guy was going through. At one point he came out holding a cup of tea and he was talking to armed police, so they're screaming at him to go back inside, but he's very casually just talking to them, so it shows maybe that he wasn't in the right state of mind.
Is it what man said?
Who's he on about? What was it?
Of course, we don't know the ins and outs right now, but like I said, with domestic situations that are occurring during lockdown, we do need to keep an eye on people that we care about in order to make sure that people are okay, because everyone is struggling right now. Nobody's life is perfect and everybody's got to adjust and make do. So we do need to make sure that we check in on people that we care about. I hope this man and this woman are okay and they can actually resolve this issue without anybody going to prison or losing any time away from their families.
Government stay, yeah? That woman is 93 or 94 years old, and these men are pointing gun at her. And you wonder why people don't respect the fucking English police. Yo, you see how
Veronica, come back to the window. Veronica, come back to the window so we can talk to you. We can end this now. We can sort it out. Stop making all this noise. Put the phone back on the hook so we can ring into the address and speak with you or Aaron.
And in some other news from London as well, a gang that posed as delivery drivers. This is another thing that is a big risk with everybody being at home. Burglars have got to adjust the techniques they use to gain access, because if people are at work, the chances are they can attempt to gain access with nobody in. But with so many people on furlough and having time off work, a lot of people are in. So we've seen this a lot more often. People pretending to be delivery drivers in order to get you to open the door to your house. 3 men, Ryan Roche, Jamal Baptiste and Caval Robinson, demanded that this woman hand over some drugs that they alleged that she had at the property. And this was in Dulwich. She begged them not to hurt her child, who was also in the house. The gang turned back and looked around for money. In a London Crown Court heard, the incident came after Robinson had driven Roche and Baptiste close to the residence on Friday, July the 4th last year. Baptiste posed as a delivery man, and he even had a delivery company t-shirt and a surgical face mask. He rang the doorbell, and when the woman who was in her 30s opened, he told her that he had a parcel for her. She told him to leave it on the doorstep, and he asked for her name, and she replied. He said that he'd made a mistake and left. A few minutes later, the victim heard the doorbell go again several times, and she opened the door while holding her 1-year-old baby. Baptiste was once again at the door holding a parcel, and the victim told him to leave it on the doorstep, but Roche, who was hiding around the corner, jumped out and forcibly pushed the victim into the house. Roche was wearing a face mask. In response to their demands, she told them that there was no drugs in the house. When Baptiste and Roche turned their backs to look for money, the victim took the opportunity to run into the garden. She seen a neighbour in the window and asked for help. He called the police, and she told him that she was being attacked. Roche went out into the garden, grabbed her arm and dragged her back into the house. She was scared by their actions, and Baptiste ran out of the front door, and Roche quickly followed. The victim went into the road and again shouted that she was being attacked and called for the police. A number of neighbours left their houses and chased the suspects. One saw 2 of the men enter a black Volkswagen Golf that was parked nearby. Immediately after, the same neighbour called the police, and officers in marked vehicles saw the car approach a junction at speed and they blocked it. Roche and Robinson was detained and arrested. Baptiste ran from the passenger side door and began running across gardens, throwing his clothes as he ran, but he was detained and also arrested. Officers searched the vehicle registered to Robinson and found the delivery company t-shirt in the front passenger footwell. Ryan Roche, 27, of Melbourne Grove, Southall, was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison on the 15th of January. Jamal Baptiste, 28, from Crawley, West Sussex, was sentenced to 3 years and 11 months. Cavell Robinson from Croydon was jailed for 3 years on December the 8th. All 3 pleaded guilty to the robbery at London Crown Court on September the 28th. In addition, Robinson pleaded guilty to possession of Class B drugs. Detective Sergeant Chris Shepherd said, "This was a case of mistaken identity. They was going to another house thinking there was drugs there, and it was just a woman alone with her 3 children. Luckily, she was very brave and run outside to alert her neighbours. I'd like to thank the neighbours for being so vigilant and for calling the police and trying to help to apprehend the criminals." So that must have been a terrifying experience for that mother, for the safety of her children. And it just goes to show the different ways that people are adjusting to trying to commit robberies and thefts during this time.
I'll put it on your door and take it because coronavirus. Yeah.
I thought this story was unusual as well. A drug dealer that looks like the rapper 6ix9ine used his bike to go around selling crack and heroin in the Maidstone area. Cameron Bennett used his flat as a base to deliver drugs and was arrested after making deals near Broadway. Police received calls about 2 men acting suspiciously in Maidstone town centre. A flat in the high street was linked to the men, and on February the 14th, Bennett was seen by officers cycling from the address. He was spotted attempting to make exchanges with 3 suspected Class A drug users behind a shop near the Broadway. Bennett was arrested on the high street and his flat was searched. They found 134 wraps of heroin and crack cocaine. Quantities of cannabis were also found as well. Bennett, who's 20 years old from Chatham, was charged with 2 counts of supplying Class A drugs. He was also charged with assault in an unrelated incident in Gillingham on May the 7th, 2019, where a man was hit in the face. I'm imagining he was probably identified from his hair. Appearing before magistrates' court, and he pleaded guilty on Wednesday, and he was jailed for 18 months at a youth offenders institute. A second suspect remains on bail that is linked to the case as well. So I hope when he comes out that he does decide to get rid of that hairstyle and maybe take life a bit more serious. And in the final story of today, an East London man has been convicted for coercing a 13-year-old to sell drugs for him in a different part of the country. Abdul Rakib of Shoreditch was part of a group of 3 men who made contact with a 13-year-old boy on Snapchat. They offered the boy the chance to make easy money, the court heard. After meeting the boy in Tower Hamlets in 2019, Rakib drove to Guildford in Surrey. They kept the boy in a room with the intention of him dealing Class A drugs on the group's behalf. Luckily, the boy's mother managed to get in touch with him and the police were involved. The boy was rescued and Rakib was arrested on December the 28th, 2019. He pleaded guilty to being concerned in the supply of Class A drugs on January the 20th this month, and he received a suspended sentence and was ordered to undertake 200 hours of unpaid work. Detective Constable Ben Stone from the Crime Command in East said Rakib was part of a group who targeted young children and pressured them into criminality with the lure of easy money. Thankfully, due to the actions of his mother, the police were able to find the boy and reunite him with his family. So I really want to hear what people's opinions are on all these stories. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Please don't forget to follow us online as well at Scarcity Studios on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Peace.